Hello everyone. Today I would like to talk to you about books that I would recommend for woodworking. So let's get into it. So this is kickstarting a new series that I'm doing on this channel. Yes, I know I seem to start a new series every week. I don't know why I do it either, I just really like to organise things apparently. But this series is going to be based on reviewing things, so it's going to be a little bit different to Tool Duel, where I'm comparing two things of a similar thing. But this series is going to be focused on products in the market that are kind of like on their own, they don't have a lot to compare with. And I mean, saying that, I've got lots of different books here, so it's kind of like a Tool Duel in book form, but it's worth saying at this point, if you do like the sound of any of these books I'm about to mention, I do have links below in the description and also on my website, and if you buy it through those, I get a little bit of cut. Now, it might sound like I'm just trying to sell these to you now in order to get a bit of money, but there are books I haven't included in here because for me, they haven't particularly been very mind-blowing. These are my favourite picks, and if you get them, you will appreciate it, or you will find benefit in it. Anyway, I'm going to stop chatting. Let's see what we got here. Right, so first book I'm going to recommend, I mean, saying the affiliate thing and all that, this one isn't actually on the list because I can't actually get an affiliate link for it, but I'm going to start with it because it is an absolutely brilliant book. It's called The Anarchist Tool Chest, kind of looks like the Bible. Jesus would be happy. Where is he? Look. Jesus, and I don't even know what I'm doing here. Anyway, The Anarchist Tool Chest. This is written by Chris Schwarz. A lot of you would have heard of him in the industry. He's very, very knowledgeable on all things to do with hand tool woodworking, particularly workbenches. But he is not only incredibly knowledgeable on woodwork, he is also a very good teacher and a very good author. So this book is not only informative, but also quite humorous to read. So if you're starting off woodworking and wanting to sort of orientate yourself more towards the hand tool route, but you don't know what you're looking for in terms of buying second-hand tools, for example, or even what the modern manufacturers offer over the old tools that are available in World War II, for example. If you want to know more about that, this is the book to get for it. As you can see, it's pretty substantial. There is a lot of information in there. And like I say, it's called The Anarchist Tool Chest, and that is because in the second half of the book, it teaches you how to build a tool chest to hold all of those tools. And the whole sort of idea behind the tool chest is only holding the tools that you actually need. So again, it's something that I'm quite sort of on the ball with my videos on what saws do you need, what chisels do you need. It's like, some things are really nice to have, but do you actually need them? So I really agree with a lot of stuff in this book. I actually read it while on holiday in Tenerife and got quite engrossed in it. So yeah, very much recommend that. That will be in the description, obviously. The next one is, I'm going to start with this one, Colins Complete Woodworkers Manual. I bought this about 6 years ago, I think, before I'd even started at Rycotewood. I'd never even cut a joint before. But what I was doing in the summer before starting, over June, July, August, is I was just flicking through this and just generally building like a reservoir of knowledge before starting. So when I did start, it was incredibly helpful. When I was taught things, it stuck a lot better because I thought, I read that in that book. So this covers, well, it's called the Complete Woodworkers Manual. It's pretty complete, to be honest. To start with, it goes through timber technology, pretty boring stuff, but it's good to know either way. Softwoods, lots of different hardwoods, natives, exotic, veneers, man-made, whether they are natural, whether they're quarter sawn, whether they're rotary cut. There is literally everything, and I'm only at page 63 here. Designing, so that goes through all the sketching and everything. It goes through all the stuff that I taught you about, the different types of saws and everything like that. Different cuts of joints, different types of machines, different types of bending wood, for example. There's different types of finishing, marquetry, parquetry, carving. Literally, if you are starting off in woodworking, this is your Bible. I know I said this looks like a Bible. This is your Bible. It is an amazing book for reference. So I do think that most beginner woodworkers would really benefit from this because for me, it did wonders. So next one. I'm getting quite into this, aren't I? The next one is Cutting-Edge-Cabinetmaking by Robert Ingham. Now, Robert Ingham was one of my favourite makers when I first started. I've kind of progressed a little bit from there now. But from memory, I think he trained as an engineer. So you think an engineer going into woodworking, he's going to be pretty on the ball in terms of jigs, precision. He's going to know his stuff, and he does. If you are progressing from, say, a beginner and you want to get into the more intermediate to even advanced stuff, this is what I would recommend to aid that transition. Again, it goes into details with joints and things, much like the Colins Complete Woodworkers manual did, but this one kind of goes a little bit deeper with it, much more precise with it. I mean, for example, here it's got a page on cutting secret mitered dovetails, and there is a little jewellery box in here. This one here, the sides on that are apparently 6mm thick or 1/4 inch. He's cut secret mitered dovetails in the corner of 6mm thick material. That kind of really like puts my skills to shame, to be honest. Like, I have no idea how to do that. But anyway, so there's all that sort of stuff. There's things on laminating in here. And at the back, which was kind of most important to me, because I was really into his work, he actually does a breakdown on 5 of his projects, one of which is a workbench and the other 3 are furniture. And to be honest, they look absolutely stunning. And seeing the ins and outs of how he made them, the complex jigs that he used, how he got them all veneered up, it is just incredible work, really. And it kind of puts like a whole new perspective on things where it makes you realise, God, I've been bodging things up until this point. I mean, like I say, if you see some of the jigs this guy makes, whew. But yeah, beginner wanting to transition to, say, an intermediate woodworker, brilliant, brilliant book. So next one, Workbenches by Chris Schwarz, again, so the same guy who wrote this book that looked like a Bible, Christopher Schwarz. This is the book that I used to design Bertha. I'm going to plug it here. If you want plans for Bertha, you can download them from my website. The link is up here, up there. Yeah, it's up there. So yeah, when designing a workbench, it's very easy to look at this one, for example, and think, oh, that's beautiful, I'm going to build one of them. But without knowing the theory behind it, without knowing why you chose a wagon vise over a tail vise, why you chose a leg vise over a quick release vise, why are the legs flush with the front of the workbench, what advantages does that have? This book will cover that, and it will make you realise how bad your current setup actually is. I actually spoke about the problems of that bench in part 2 of the weekly Rycotewood, which is when I was designing this workbench. I'll put the link up here. But yeah, like I say, reading this, it makes you realise that although benches like this are quite excessive, there is reason for it. So if you've bought plans to build this workbench, for example, or perhaps the bench-crafted Rubo workbench, I would still advise you to get this. It's just, again, like I said for the other books, it's just enlightening. You're like, oh, that's why. So there we go. Workbenches from Design and Theory to Construction and Use by Christopher Schwarz. Right, next one, a little bit of a curveball here. This one here is called Jab, 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 Right Hook, and it's by Gary Vaynerchuk. It's not to do with boxing, it's to do with social media. So when I was writing my dissertation at uni, I was based it upon social media within the woodworking industry and how someone can use social media to generate their main income from making furniture, for example. And then if you sell the piece of furniture at the end, bonus, happy days. And this is the book that I reference from quite a lot because it gives a breakdown of all the different platforms on there and how to sort of present yourself in each one and the thought process behind it. How can you grab attention and how can you get them to do what you want? I'm kind of like giving away my strategy here for how I get you guys to like buy plans and things, for example, but it's exactly how the world works. Why do you think, I don't know, Sainsbury's, for example, put free recipes on their site? It's because you publish all of this free information and then people are like, oh, that's amazing. Oh, I'm at Sainsbury's now, I might as well buy all of their organic food and make this lovely organic chicken pie. It's all this thought process of giving out free content, doing that enough, building your leverage and then saying, right, I've given this to you, and then your customer starts feeling in debt to you eventually. I really don't like saying it on camera because it kind of makes it seem like everything I do is fake, where I'm just like putting out all this stuff and then expecting you to give back. I obviously don't expect anything from you guys, but at the same time, I need to make a living from it. In fact, it's the same thing that I'm doing with the affiliate marketing on these books. I'm giving you free information about what really helped me when I was starting woodworking and what is definitely going to help you as you progress. And as a result, my plan is that you'll go into my description and as a thank you, you will go onto Amazon and buy it under my affiliate link and I'll get, I don't know, I'll get like a £1 cut of the book or something like that. But if you're wanting to get yourself present on social media, Gary Vaynerchuk, or Gary V, as he is also known online, is the guy to align yourself with, and this book is what I would very much recommend, and his content is what contributed to me being here now, and I am loving life, to be honest. So next one, Unplugged Woodshop by Tom Fidgen. I am pretty sure you would have seen Tom Fidgen's YouTube channel because his videos are absolutely beautiful. There is beautiful. I'm a right old softy, aren't I? But no, his videos, there's very little talking in them, just really nice music in the background. It's just him making projects entirely by hand, no machines whatsoever. And not only are his videos well edited, but his projects are pretty amazing. I mean, that's excluding the fact they're made by hand. If I made them by machine, I would still be pretty proud of it, to be honest. So yeah, Tom Fidgen, if you haven't seen his YouTube channel, definitely have a look at that first. Depending on how many cards I've got, I've only got 5 that I can use in this video. I might put the link up here to his YouTube channel. If not, it'll be in the description. But this book, it's more project-based, to be honest. It walks you through a lot of the projects that he actually does on YouTube, funnily enough. So where people are watching his videos and then wanting to know how he actually made it, because there's not a lot of talking in them, obviously, this book is the supplement to that. In fact, going back to this jab, 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 right hook book, that is exactly what Tom Fidgen does. He is given free content online in the form of videos, and then people thought, oh, that's beautiful. Oh, he's got a book. I'll have that. That is what Tom Fidgen has done. There you go. I'm not the only awful person stealing your money. But yeah, so anyway, back to Tom Fidgen. A lot of this is project-based, but there's also things, well, I'm looking at the context now, there's glues and finishes on there. There's dimensioning rough lumber, so it goes into that as well. And there is also a section on building his kerfing plane and his frame saw. If you haven't seen these in action, it is amazing. Essentially, he is able to create veneers, not quite as thin as these ones I've got here. These are like 0.6 mil, but constructional veneers that say, I don't know, 2 millimeters thick, entirely by hand over widths like this sort of wide. Again, another reason to watch his videos. Watch the kerfing plane and the frame saw in use. Amazing. I actually had the pleasure of using the frame saw by Bad Axe Toolworks at the European Woodworking show. My God, does that thing go? So anyway, yeah, if you're really interested in hand tool woodworking, perhaps you don't have a lot of space in your workshop for all this machinery, or you just really want to enjoy the process of making a piece without a screaming machine and having to wear ear defenders, just getting those wispy shavings as you shove it through, this would be a very, very good book for you. Seeing these skills in a project-based context, much like with the Cutting-Edge Cabinet Making by Robert Ingham with his projects in the back, seeing those skills in the context of a project is entirely different than just seeing a tutorial of it, for example. So, Tom Fidgen, The Unplugged Woodshop, very, very good book. Next one, Handplane Book. I'm going to be honest, I haven't actually read it. I just bought it because the front cover looks really nice. Look at it, it's gorgeous. But from what I've seen through a quick flick through this is that this book breaks down all the different hand planes out there, what to look for when you're buying it, how to set up a hand plane, how to tune a hand plane, for example. But I mean, like I say, I'll be totally honest, I haven't actually read it. I just bought it because it looked like a really nice coffee table book. So in terms of review, it's a pretty poor one, but in terms of the art on the front cover and the blurb, I would give it a solid 10 out of 10. So the next one is Understanding Exposure. Now, again, obviously this isn't a woodworking one, but it's one that I really want to highlight because it really helps me with what I'm doing now in terms of setting up cameras. If you watch my earlier videos, you'll see how disgusting they were to watch. Like, the white balance on it was awful, so sometimes the clips look really orange, sometimes they look really cold, sometimes the frame rate on the camera made it look like I was moving in slow motion, yet moving at a normal speed at the same time. Sometimes it looked really jittery. That was because I didn't know how to set up a camera. And this book broke it down into plain English for me. I found out what exposure actually was. I found out what an f-stop does on a camera in terms of the aperture. I learned about different shutter speeds, what a fast shutter speed does compared to a slow shutter speed. So if you want to get into photography, or like I say, things that I'm doing now where you're going to be setting up cameras and you don't want to be relying on the automatic settings on the camera, very good book to have to educate yourselves on those matters. And finally, a book about John Makepeace. If you're well informed about the furniture industry, you probably have heard about him because he's pretty much at the top of it. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure he sells chairs for like 50 grand. So his design work is quite extravagant, to say the least. There's a big conference table from memory where he's got like sort of fruit and stuff carved around the outside. He made this meeting table that was like a giant, I think it was an oak leaf. Oh yeah, and the chair that I just mentioned that sold for thousands, it's called the Millennium chair, I think. Kind of looks like a spider's web, just completely seamless, but incredible, incredible. So anyway, this book, it's kind of like a biography of John Makepeace through his career. And I mean, well, again, oh, here you go, here's the Millennium chair. See that? Pretty mental. My finger on some pages here as well. These are more chairs. So these ones, I think I read it in here. The backrest looks like it's all made of twigs, and it's because it's in a informal dining room. It's not going to be very informal if you're paying that sort of money for a chair, but hey-o. Informal dining room overlooking a coppice woodland. I think if you want an insight into the pinnacle of design and like what makes that so special, having an insight into John Makepeace's mind is just incredible. And it's just really interesting, really. I mean, again, this is how varied his designing. You know that chair that I just shown you? He also did that. Someone bought it, there's thought behind it. I don't know, really cool book. Like I say, if you want to know the ins and outs of a master designer's brain, the mind of John Makepeace is the one you want to be looking into. This book is called A Spirit of Adventure in Craft and Design, and it's by Jeremy Myerson. So there we go. That is all the books that I would recommend. Like I say, I have got others as well, but they didn't quite do it for me. I won't mention what they are because that would just be unfair, really. But if you have any recommendations, of course, chuck them in the comments below, because I think this would be a really interesting topic to talk about. And I'd also like to know what other books to get, to be honest. Like I say, I've got through most of those. I'd just like to be able to soak up a bit more information, to be honest. So there we go. That is what I would recommend. Like I say, links for these books are in the description. If you do want to buy them, I would be incredibly appreciative, I think that's the word for it, appreciative, if you used those links to buy them, because it means I will get a small profit of that, obviously, and yeah, it'll help me out to buy wood and such to keep these videos going. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. Like I say, chuck comments below if you can. Let's have a bit of a chat. See you next time.